Hey Rockstar, Steve aka Void here, and today I want to talk about bar chords. So bar chords are probably the most important thing that you can learn on guitar in the sense of learning a lot of songs in a short period of time. Now, bar chords are probably one of the most controversial things as well because for some guitar players, they come very quickly. For other guitar players, they're like climbing Mount Everest, and you may never get them. They might always be a burden. They might always be something that you just really, really don't like. So I'm actually curious what you think first and foremost before I get into the strategies and all those things there. Let me know if you like bar chords, if you don't like bar chords, whether or not they're something that you use in your playing, or whether there's something that you avoid. Now, with bar chords, basically what we have is, if we have this sound here, like this is what we're used to, okay? So we have like a full chord, okay? Something like that, let's say, whether it's major or minor, we have both, okay? We have both sort of, it's like usually 6 strings, 5 strings. It's a big chord, but it is the index finger that usually is the problem, okay? So it's like the index finger is the one that might make it either sound like this or like this. Okay, so does this sound familiar? If you're playing a bar chord, and maybe especially if you do like an F, let's say, and just sound like that, or a B minor, okay, maybe you're able to build it. It's possible that you're able to build it, but maybe you can't switch between chords. So let's say if you're playing like an open A chord to a B minor chord, sometimes in the switching, you have to kind of like, it sort of gets a bit distorted or warped, okay? So why is it so important, first of all, that you learn bar chords? Well, I personally think that bar chords are great because you could represent most popular music. You have major chords, you have minor chords, and really all you have to do is just move around like this, up and down, across, diagonally, and you could usually make a song happen, okay? Now, that's why we need bar chords, but they're kind of a pain in the butt because they're big shapes. So how the fingers are arranged, is really, really important. And I'm going to give you some strategies that you can use to improve this. But the main thing that I see is that guitar players have either trouble with the angle of the bar chord, they have trouble with the finger placement of the bar chord, and they have trouble with if there's any issues with the action on the guitar. And now, so again, let me know in the chat if you have any trouble with bar chords, if you're finding that some of your bar chords are a challenge for you. I know that for some guitar players, they do everything that they can to avoid bar chords, especially F and B minor. So with bar chords, what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we're playing it, I'm going to switch to my guitar cam here. So where is it? Right here. So when you're playing bar chords, the number one thing that you have to do is make sure that your index finger is not just going flat, okay, like this, and then you're building on top of it. You don't want to do that. I see that a lot where you're building a bar chord. So, okay, so I got this part here. So you get a nice bar over here, like a really solid flat finger, and then you add the other fingers there. That's going to be, first of all, adding too much tension, and it's also going to be a slow chord to build. So when you're actually playing in, musical time, it's going to be hard to do that. Either the song's going to be disrupted and, you're going to have to build that chord that way. It's just not realistic, or you're going to make that chord happen and it's either not going to sound good or you're going to be way too tense. So you're going to carry that tension along to other parts of the guitar, parts of the song, sorry. So the first thing that we need to do is understand the role of the index finger. The index finger, let's just say if we're playing like a 6-string bar chord. Okay, so this would be a major chord. Now, the index finger, yes, it's covering the whole guitar here, the whole fretboard, but it's not responsible for barring every single note, so I don't have to play like this and then add more to it. Really, the bar chord in this particular case, the index finger needs to only play the 6th string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string. That's all it's responsible for actually holding down, okay? You're not responsible, you don't have to play every single thing. Now, you can, of course, but you're not responsible for that. The only notes that really have to come out clearly are the 6th string, the 2nd string, and the 1st string. Okay, and now why I'm telling you that is because when you're playing, if you're doing this flat finger thing and you're trying to get this right, and then you add this here, try to add the rest, then that's just not a realistic way to make bar chords, because you don't even need all those notes to be barred. Okay, it's not required for those to come out clearly. It's not realistic inside the song that you're going to be playing. When you play this chord, these fingers, the ring finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, the pinky, and the middle finger are the ones that need to come out clearly. Okay, so when you're playing, what is involved in a proper bar? Okay, because that's the main part of this video. The main point is the index finger being the key factor inside the bar chord. I just see this a lot. So for example, I'll see someone holding down a bar chord and they'll play like this, let's say. So they'll hold it down like this. And you might think, well, that's not really a big deal. What's the problem with that? I mean, I might even be able to make sound out of that. So that sounds clear, but this is a problem, and I'll show you why. If I remove the other fingers and I show you what the index finger is doing, look at this angle here. Okay, look at how it's going diagonally across. All right? Now, you may never see this because from your perspective, you might not see it like this. Definitely record yourself playing so that you can see this, okay? When you record yourself playing and you watch it, you might see that your index finger is on an angle like that. And let's just say if you were playing another bar chord, maybe you're going like this, or maybe you're going like this. Your index finger might be across the strings, but if it's on an angle like that, it's going to be a big problem, especially on acoustic guitar. Now, the reason for that is because of this, and I'm going to show you a little trick here. So pay attention to the angle of the index finger, okay? If I pretended like each part of my index finger, especially on string 6, 2, and 1, if I pretended like each part of my index finger was a fingertip, then look at where this is pressing down. That's right beside the fret, which is good. But then look at where this part is pressing down, where the index finger or the fingertip is pressing down. It's pressing down, if my fingertip was playing that, it's pressing down over here, all the way back here, all the way back here, okay? And if you were playing a note with just one finger, with the index finger tip, you would never play it this far away from the fret. Or at least, I mean, if I was teaching you, I would tell you always play as close to the fret as possible. But if it's back here, because that, it might look like the index finger is covering the fret, but this part right here is in the wrong spot because the pressure being put right here, like a fingertip putting the pressure right here, that's creating, again, on an electric you might get it, but on an acoustic it's going to crack like crazy, and this even doesn't sound that good. It doesn't sound as clear as this. Okay? So when the index finger is playing like that, no wonder when you're playing a bar chord it doesn't come out and it frustrates you like crazy, because this part here, you're not realizing that that angle is messing you up. Okay? So also talking about angles, you also want to make sure that the guitar is on an upwards angle, not flat like this, and definitely not down like that, because when it's upwards, that's actually ergonomic. That's how your hand is shaped, like a human hand, and attached to the wrist and the arm and all that is going to be way more ergonomic playing the angle, or playing the bar chords with an angled guitar like that, rather than if it's like this, it's going to make the wrist bend too much. It's going to be at the wrong angle. So here, what we do is we make sure that the guitar, like if we could have a strap, whether it's for electric or acoustic, we want to make sure that the guitar is at an angle, and make sure that the guitar is a little higher. See, I'm sitting down right now, so make sure the guitar is a little bit higher, and you'll find that even that will fix it a lot of the time. So you have two angles there. You have the angle of the index finger, the bar, as well as the angle of the guitar. Another thing, the rotation of your finger. So this is a really important one, that you don't want to go flat, because I said that you got to play as close to the fret as possible. You don't want to go flat on the bar. What you actually want to do is hover over the metal, okay? Hover over the metal, and then when you press, the index finger should actually just kind of rotate a little bit. It's what it naturally does, okay? When you play, the index finger will naturally, see how it turns a little bit? It's not going flat like this. It's actually turning. It's twisting, just like rotating just a little bit. And that just naturally happens when you put pressure on it. It naturally rotates. So we want to make sure that if we were playing with a fingertip on each part, it's as close to the metal as possible. Okay? So even just that alone will help your bar chords, because if you're playing and you're not getting a clear sound, especially down here, what you can do is make sure that you're as close to the fret as possible, not on an angle like that, making sure you're as close to the fret as possible, hovering over the metal, and let the index rotate like that, okay? Because where that's going to end up, if you were pressing that with a fingertip, it would end up right beside the fret, which is where it should be, okay? So a little rotation. So make sure that your finger isn't angled like that. Make sure that it's hovering over the metal and then rotating just a little bit. All right. Now there are some other problems with different guitars that might prevent your bar chords from becoming clear, okay? And just a couple of those, like if you have an acoustic guitar, I recommend having the lightest strings you could possibly have. I recommend making sure you bring it to a music store and make sure that the action is so low that it's, or I should say low enough that the strings don't buzz. There's no fret. The frets can kind of make the string stop vibrating, so you want to go low enough that you get a clear note, but not too low where the frets buzz. So you go to the music store and you ask them to make the action, to make low action, and they'll know to do this. They'll know not to make the thing buzz. But you want to make sure you have the lightest strings possible and the lowest action possible, even on an electric. I highly recommend using, let's say, 9s, maybe 10s. Just you really, really want to experience this. Like, bar chords are not really that hard. It's the guitar can make it very difficult to play if you're pressing down because the strings are so far from the fretboard. We really want to make sure that we eliminate any of those possibilities, that we don't have our equipment work against us. Okay, so bring your guitar to the music store. Make sure that the action is lowered but not buzzing. And also hop into the guitar room and play some expensive guitars, because that's going to allow for you to feel, oh wow, this guitar feels really good. And you try the same bar chord that you were struggling with at home, and I can't guarantee it, but I know for a fact that a lot of my students will go into a music store and they'll play something on a good guitar that is set up properly, and it'll feel like right away, oh wow, this whole time I could have played bar chords, but I didn't realize that I could play bar chords because my equipment was holding me back. Okay, so those are 3 tips: the angle of both your index finger and of your guitar, the rotation of your index finger, and the action and the string gauge. Those will help your bar chords tremendously. Now, if you need more help, if you enjoyed this video and you want to take things further and you want me to coach you through this process so that you could learn how to play bar chords and then take those bar chords and literally play almost any popular song that you can imagine, then definitely check out playfromday1.com. Add your name to the waiting list, answer a few questions about your guitar playing, and I'll reach out to you if it feels like a good fit and we have a spot available for you. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if this video helped, if you have any other questions about bar chords, and I will definitely address them in the comments as well as in a future video. All right, so I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.